Taiwan gods and goddesses. Matsu. Matsu is the goddess of the sea. She is the patron goddess of sailors, fishermen, and travelers, closely associated with the goddess of mercy Guan Yin. Her name comprised of the characters Ma, meaning mother, and Tsu, which means ancestor. She is often depicted wearing bright red robes, laced with shining jewels that help her be more easily seen by travelers at sea. Is frequently depicted holding a ceremonial tablet that symbolizes her spiritual knowledge, and wearing an imperial headdress that represents her godly nature. Before she became a goddess, Matsu's human name was Lin Mo, or Silent Lin. In Taoism, she is known as Tianshang Shengmu, or Heavenly Goddess. Her other formal titles like Lady of Light and Kindness, or Empress of Heaven. She lived off the coast of Fujian on Meizhou during the 10th century. Even as a human, she was blessed with supernatural abilities, and could accurately forecast the weather and predict the future. As a goddess, she vowed that she would remain on Earth until all beings achieved enlightenment and exited the cycle of suffering. She is thought to have been born around 960 AD to a poor family of fishermen. She did not cry or shed a single tear when she was born. She would never gain the ability to talk even as she grew older. Therefore she was nicknamed as Silent Girl. Despite of being mute, she was blessed with a number of amazing gifts. She could accurately predict the weather. She would fall into deep trances, and would experience divine visions. She also developed a fascination with medicine, and became a healer in her hometown. She completely devoted herself to the goddess of compassion Guan Yin, and vowed like her and never to marry. One day, when her father and 4 brothers were fishing off the coast of Meizhou Island, a storm and hurricane began to blow off the coast. Her father and brothers' boat was rocked by the huge waves. At the same time, while she was weaving at the family's loom, when suddenly she went into a deep trance. In her pure spiritual form, she projected herself to her father and brothers' boat, saw what had happened, and managed to get her brothers to land. Her mother didn't realize what the young girl was trying to do, and shook Lin Mo awake before she was able to save her father. In some versions of her myth, she was able to save her father and 3 of her brothers except for the eldest. In her grief, she climbed to the top of a high cliff, and threw herself into the sea. Before she hit the water, her body transformed into a pure beam of celestial light, and ascended to heaven, where she became the goddess Matsu. As the last of her light disappeared through the clouds, a bright rainbow appeared across the sky, signaling the end of the storm. Matsu is said to be guarded by 2 demons, Qianlian, or eyes that can see 1,000 miles, and Shunfinger, or ears that can hear the wind. Before they became her protectors, both Qianlian and Shunfinger had asked for Matsu's hand in marriage. Matsu agreed, but only under the condition that they defeat her in combat. During the ensuing battle, she easily subdued both demons with her superior martial arts skills, and with the help of a magic silk scarf that blew sand into their eyes, effectively blinding them. Instead of marrying her, Qianlian and Shunfinger vowed to serve as her guardians, and to never leave Matsu's side. Guan Yin. Guan Yin is the goddess of mercy and considered to be the physical embodiment of compassion. She is an all-seeing, all-hearing being, who is called upon by worshippers in times of uncertainty, despair and fear. Guan Yin's name was translated from the deity's original Sanskrit name, Avalokitesvara, which means, he who hears the voices of the suffering, into Guanxian, which means, the one who hears the sound of the world. Over time, her name was eventually shortened to Guan Yin, and her name represents her ability to hear all the cries of suffering in the world, and her infinite compassion. Though she can take both male and female form, she is most often represented as a woman in Chinese lore. Guan Yin is usually depicted wearing a flowing white robe and jade necklaces. Both symbolize purity in Chinese culture. She often carries a vase of water in one hand, and a willow branch in the other, and is typically shown standing on the back of a dragon, sitting on a lotus flower, or riding on clouds. She is always portrayed as a powerful, benevolent figure who is motivated by a supreme sense of compassion. Before she became the goddess of compassion, Guanyin was once a young girl named Miao Shan who was born to King Zhuang of Zhu, and his wife Lady Yin. But there was something different about her that set her apart from other girls. As soon as she had the ability to speak, Miao Shan began to chant Buddhist sutras. As she grew older, her father think about marrying her off to some powerful lord. But she would only agree to an arrangement if it would help solve 3 problems: the suffering of age, the suffering of sickness, and the suffering of death. Unable to find a match that could meet her demands, her father reluctantly agreed to allow her to join a Buddhist temple. Before letting her go, however, he ordered the monks to give her the hardest work to discourage her, forcing the young girl to work day and night without sleep. Much to her father's chagrin, the young forest animals who lived around the temple took pity on the young girl, and began to help her with the chores. He became so enraged upon learning Miao Shan was getting help that he set fire to the temple, but she intervened and extinguished the flames with her bare hands. Now fearing that his daughter was possessed by some kind of demon, her father sentenced her to death. On the day of Miao Shan's death sentence, she went meekly to the execution block. But when the executioner brought his axe down upon her neck, the axe shattered into 1,000 pieces. His sword also broke, and arrows from his bow veered off course. Seeing how much trouble she was causing the executioner, Miao Shan forgave him, let herself be killed and absorbed the karma of his actions, so he wouldn't have to pay for her death in the afterlife. When she arrived in hell, the earth around her burst into life with blossoming flowers. Seeing all the suffering souls around her, she began to weep with sorrow. She released all the positive karmic energy she had accumulated. Yan Wang, fearing that his whole kingdom would collapse, allowed her to return to earth as the enlightened being Guanyin. Guangong, also called Guandi, or Guanyu, referred to as the god of war and god of business, was also considered to be god of justice, courage and loyalty. He also possessed all-round powers such as the ability to guide people's destiny, help people pass imperial examinations, heal sicknesses, cast away evil spirits, and ward off ill fortunes, punish the rebellious, patrol the nether regions, bring in wealth and treasure, and protect businessmen, which makes him one of the most widely worshipped deities in Taiwan. He is also a Buddhist deity who is the patron saint of soldiers. His deeds and moral qualities have been given immense emphasis, making him one of East Asia's most popular paradigms of loyalty and righteousness. In religious devotion, he is reverentially called the Emperor Guan, or Lord Guan. He is a deity worshipped in Chinese folk religion, popular Confucianism, Taoism, and Chinese Buddhism. He is mostly worshipped by businessmen, police officers and members of criminal gangs. He's credited with helping the people of Yanshui and Tainan turn back a plague that had been devastating the population. Among the shrines dedicated to Guangong is Tainan's martial rights temple. Like Ma Zhu, Guangong was once an ordinary human, a general executed 1800 years ago after being defeated in battle. Guangong was posthumously revered for his righteousness and loyalty. He's almost always shown in full form with a red face and a long beard, and he usually carries a heavy halberd in one hand. Jade Emperor, also known as Yuang Dadi or Yuang Shangdi. He is regarded as the creator of the universe, and the being who made the first men and women out of mud. He's typically depicted as sat on a throne and wearing a flat crown. Shrines where he's worshipped mark his birthday on the 9th day of the first lunar month. The Taiwanese call him the ruler of heaven. He is the Lord of heaven and earth, the highest among the gods in the Taoist religion. Tradition has it that the 9th day of January on the lunar calendar is the ruler of heaven's birthday. On this day, people would worship him with discretion, just like subjects paying homage to their emperor. The ceremonies are very solemn and grand.